Welcome, everyone, to Life Beyond 6 Feet. I'm Damien from RKB Paranormal, joined once again by my co-host / host, whatever you want to call her, Miss Kelly Schaefer from K2 Paranormal. Kelly, welcome back.
I came back again.
You did. Third episode in
Third time. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's something I wanted to do for this season. I wanted to get some owners of some haunted locations on, and I've got quite a list lined up. But guest number one, a lot of people would know him from Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, and now he's pretty known for the Old Historic Harriman Hospital. Everybody welcome Ronnie Dee to Life Beyond 6 Feet. Welcome, Ronnie.
Thanks for having me, guys. Well,
I'm also the sound effects person.
one thing before we get started, you can tell that I'm not really good at this because you guys got these like cool backgrounds going on. All I've got is my cover.
I'm about ready to get my other really cool background going on here too.
So I hope nobody minds that that's my cupboard in the kitchen. So.
Well, I got all my office over here, so
It's all good.
I'll have to figure this out later.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today, guys.
Absolutely. And like I said, I've been wanting to get some owners of haunted locations on, and Tennessee wise, you're probably the most well-known owner of haunted locations. So before we dive into the hospital and stuff, what kind of led you down the path of the paranormal?
I've been kind of a paranormal investigator for probably much like both of you for a very long period of time. And I've really enjoyed going to different locations throughout the United States, and family did it with me, friends did it with me. And there's just a point in time where I was like, I wanted to be more involved in the paranormal. And really, so that brought me into ownership, and never looked back since, looking at more locations all the time, and really enjoy it. But the thing that I think is really kind of neat that sets our team apart too is it's not only the paranormal, but it's the historical relevance and accuracy. I think that is one thing that our team kind of really focuses on. And if anybody's been to South Pittsburgh, you guys all know that we have been kind of rewriting the history because the old owners were really pushing kind of, the scary end of it and not telling really the truth. So, there's a lot of stuff that we come across on, Facebook or on Instagram or Twitter that we're, day by day trying to correct because they did such a bad job just, telling the true history of the building. So, and by the way, the buildings are haunted, which, we all know that paranormal, that's what pays the people, these buildings running. I appreciate everybody who comes out and does an investigation and talks to our residents.
Right. So now you said you've been doing the paranormal thing for a long time. Was there any experiences you had as like a younger adult or even as a child that kind of got you interested in this stuff?
No, to be really honest with you, I'm one of those people who, about 20 years ago, I turned on the TV and there was a ghost show on and I got involved. I thought it was really cool. And I think kind of the reason that I got involved was, when you watch some of these shows and you hear an EVP and, the what do you call it? The dynamics of the audio isn't exactly the greatest coming over your TV. So, you're kind of sitting around going, oh, I didn't really hear that. Come on.
Right.
So I think we did it. We wanted to go out and kind of try it for ourselves. And I'm by no means an expert. For me, it's always been kind of a fun hobby sort of thing. I enjoyed it to, go to locations and to see what evidence we'd come up with and that kind of a thing and kind of debunk what we thought wasn't real. And I do remember, going on my first paranormal investigation and getting that first EVP. And I'm like, oh, this shit really is real.
Right.
Kind of drags you into it. And then it's just kind of like anything else. It's more. You get EVP and then, you get your first this, you get your first that. And so, it's just like anything else. It's like driving a car or racing a car, you want to push it more and more, to see what evidence you can get and kind of go from there. And that kind of led us down that path. And, first it was EVPs, then it was shadow figure, then full body apparition and so forth and so on. And, now being an owner, anybody who wants to debate the paranormal with me, bring it on.
Yeah.
There's so many experiences in both buildings that it's just undeniably something going on there. So
it's amazing that you own both of those. That's so awesome. How did you find out that they were for sale?
Well, Old South Pittsburgh kind of was a mistake. Well, actually, both buildings were kind of a mistake. I'm from Chicago. If anybody notices the accent, I'm a Northerner. And so when we did our investigations, we tried to line up 4 or 5 buildings in a row, so that when we're going to Tennessee, you're driving 9 hours, you don't want to stay at one location. You kind of want to go from location to location to location. So we did, we started Old South Pittsburgh, went to Hales Bar Dam. Believe it or not, we went to conference building, which was in Harriman, Tennessee.
Mhm.
This was like 15 years ago already. And then we went to, and I'm going to get this wrong because I think it was only open for a very short period of time, but we went to this Japanese school of boys and learning or something like that was outside
Oh
of
my,
Knoxville.
that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it was really a weird location, real weird vibes. And then we kind of went northward and did some more locations on the way home. So our first stop was at South Pittsburgh, and if anybody has been there before, it's one of those locations that it's a hometown hospital. It's not one of those gigantic, massive hospitals that we're all accustomed to now. So when you kind of walk through the door, it kind of grabbed you. It was kind of like, and then it was funny because a lot of the volunteers that I have on the team now and stuff, it was one of those buildings that when it gets to know you, it doesn't shut up.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but on our first trip, it was really lame. I'm not gonna lie. We went, it was kind of a lame experience. We got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then the EVPs, we started hearing EVPers, and then it drew you in. It was kind of like the EVPs were really intelligent responses. It was kind of, so every year we kind of made the plan to go back, and then it got kind of addictive where I think we were going back to Old South Pittsburgh probably about every 4 months.
Wow.
Taking the trip just down to South Pittsburgh. And then I had an experience in the hospital that really solidified my position in the paranormal. We were up on the 3rd floor. There were a couple of investigators with me, and 2 of us, myself and Zach, saw as plain as day a full body apparition of a nurse kind of walked by in the nursery. She looked at me like dead in the eyes, gave me like this kind of dirty look, kind of zoomed back, and then opened up the door and just disappeared.
Wow.
Zach and I kind of looked at each other like, whoa. I made an offer the next morning to the owners of the hospital, which they turned down because they were making a ton of money. If anybody's ever been there, they were the owners that didn't believe in fixing anything or taking care of anything. They loved to collect the money, but didn't want to fix anything. So later on down the road, I got wind from the police officer that was there that I was friends with, that they weren't paying their taxes and that the owner of the hospital was in a lot of trouble with the IRS. He wasn't paying payroll taxes and such. The IRS basically auctioned off everything he owned that was of value. And I got a hold of the IRS and said, hey, I'm really interested. And here we are 5 or 6 years later owning the hospital. And I think we're making some great improvements as to, what it was 5 or 6 years ago.
Right. And like you said, you kind of landed it kind of by luck, and you
right place, right time.
Right. And you've turned it into a really good place. And like I said, I've kind of watched the progress over the years of how you've, kind of slowly kind of restored it a little bit. And Kelly, I don't think you've ever been there before, have you?
I have not. It's on my list. It's on my list of doing.
Yeah,
I haven't been able to get down there because I'm off on the days, and everybody that can go with me isn't off on the days. So
right.
And I don't believe in going ghost hunting alone, primarily because I promised myself that I would never pee alone.
Oh man.
And I still have yet to do it.
Right.
After 13 years.
Wait, pee alone or paranormal investigate alone?
Pee alone. I refuse to go to the bathroom in a haunted location by myself. That's all I need is some ghost catching me on the toilet.
Oh my goodness. Now I went there about 2 years ago. About 2 years ago during one of the public events you guys put on. And I'm not a real big fan of the public events, but I still wanted to go because I wanted to check it out. And we were still a fairly new team. And I was actually introduced to the Estes method there. But I can't remember her name.
JB?
Yep, that's her.
Did JB do it?
Yeah.
JB Coach.
I love JB.
We was in one of the rooms and she was like, whoever wants to try this, let's go for it. And I threw my hand up. She put me in a separate room, and I've been addicted to the Estes method ever since. And I remember you telling about the puffs of smoke and stuff you would just randomly see. I remember seeing that right before we did the Estes method. So how did you come about learning about all the different things that go on there?
What about the puffs of smoke? Isn't that some form of the word's escaping me right now.
I know it was cool as shit.
Ghost goo.
Ghost goo.
Ghost
Ectoplasma.
goo.
Ectoplasma.
Ectoplasma, yes.
Yeah.
Ghost
Uh,
goo.
Well,
Ghost goo.
kind of something that is really unique to OSPH, and I've never been on another investigation that kind of has this, is that I would say probably it's happened. I've owned the building for about 6 years now, and about the third year in, like I said, we've been cleaning up. We moved about 100 tons of garbage out of the building. If anybody's been there prior to us, the whole downstairs was kind of, you had to tiptoe through garbage. We got rid of all that. We really cleaned the building up, made it all accessible for investigators. But about 2 to 3 years into owning the building, we were with JB. We were actually doing an investigation where I remember your night, by the way.
Yeah.
But we have.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty phenomenal night if I remember correctly.
Right.
But yeah, we have an addition that's on the back of the building that's actually an ER waiting room, and then next to it is the body box, is probably where you spent your evening.
It was. Yep.
It was a four body cooler that basically, if somebody died in the hospital, they would put the body there until the morgue or the coronary or the guy could pick it up.
Whoever.
Yeah, whoever, one of those guys.
The body donor or the body doctor.
So what we do is we do the Estes method in there, and we were actually doing the Estes method probably about 2.5 to 2 years ago, and we had a group of people in the ER, and all of a sudden we smelled this maple syrup. It was to the point where it was really overwhelming, and we're all kind of we're all in the dark, and everybody's blaming everybody else for puffing on a, what do you call those things?
A vape.
Yeah, a vape.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of pointing fingers because this is the first time it kind of happened. And so one of the girls actually turned her flashlight on, and as she turned her flashlight on, the whole room was full of smoke. And we're all kind of looking around going, whoa, this is really weird. Well, at that same time, there was like a presence that was felt. There was like the room kind of changed, and you can feel that kind of positive energy come in the room, and the smoke went away. So we went on with the Estes method, and all of a sudden somebody started gagging again, and we turned the flashlight on, and there's another cloud of smoke right in front of one of our guests. And so we're all kind of looking around at each other like, where the hell is this coming from? So one of the girls, her name is I can't think of it, Leanne. Leanne actually looked into it, and we realized that one of the founding fathers of the hospital was actually a doctor who would walk around through the hospital smoking a pipe.
Oh, wow.
So back when this hospital was open, the doctor would actually, go from patient to room, walk throughout the hallways, smoking his pipe. And we later learned that when the Dr. Taylor, his name was Dr. Taylor, when he was angry with you because you weren't following like his medical advice, he'd take his pipe and he'd slam it in his hand, and he would tell you, I told you, blah, 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 blah. Well, the more and more time went on, and the more and more we recognized that it was Dr. Taylor, the more visits he made. And so now it's like, it's pretty normal that you'll see him in the hospital just puffing away on the pipe. And what's neat is that he'll do it at different various times, different investigations. He doesn't seem to be really shy. Like, I think the night you were there, we had probably about 22 people in that room.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll just come right out, start smoking the pipe, and do his thing and walk down the hall. And I know it was really kind of funny because we did have a public investigation one night, and we had a guest that was in there who was a skeptic, and it was great that he was there. But he's like, oh, I know you're rigging this. And I'm like, well, what can I do to prove to you that it's not me? So the guy basically asked me to strip down to my underwear in the middle of the events. And I'm like, so I was like, well, you can pat me down. You can, we're really, as a paranormal investigator, I don't want to fake anything. We want to that our industry is we're already looked at kind of like, oh my God, there are a bunch of people who sit around in the dark.
Right.
I don't want to add to that. I want to be a positive influence on the paranormal. So he did. He patted me down. As he's patting me down in the hallway, away from the group, all of a sudden the smoke appears again. And I remember the look on his face, and he was like, he spent the rest of the night in his car while his wife was on investigation.
I love it. That's awesome.
He was the biggest skeptic of the night. He left sitting in the car the rest of the night. He's like, dude, I'm done. He's like,
that's awesome.
I can't disprove this. He's like, I'm going to go sit in the car. You go enjoy the rest of your night. I've seen what I want to see. And yeah, his wife's been back a couple of times since then, but he's never been back in the building.
Oh, wow. That's good stuff.
Oh, my God.
We find that quite often, though. I mean, a lot of building owners will tell you that one of the things that's really chill is we do a public investigation once every month, and it's kind of people who don't have teams.
No, I was
or
going
wanna-
to ask what your new events were.
Yeah, we do like once a month, and primarily, like I said, it's for people who don't have teams, or like in your situation, it's for people who have a team who want to come down and check out the building before making the booking.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
so this gives somebody
That would be me.
yeah, that would give somebody kind of the lay of the land to find out if they had any, any activity that evening. It's good both ways because we do teach a lot of people, to get into the paranormal, but then we got a lot of experienced people too who come, like I said, who may be bored on a Saturday night and their team's doing something else and they just want to come out, so they come out. So we do the public investigations, and what's really, really funny, I think most building owners will tell you is that pretty much maybe a couple times a year, you'll get a guy who's 6'5", probably 280 pounds.
Can I have his name
guy.
and number, please?
Oh, you're
Yeah.
single, huh? What I was going to say, with his 200-pound wife. And it's funny because he'll come in with this kind of macho attitude,
I love
like
it.
no such thing as ghosts. And most of the time they're in the car by 10 o'clock because they either get touched or pulled or pushed.
I have
or
got to go.
They see something that they can't explain, and boom, they're sitting in the car, and their little 200-pound wife is running around the hospital going, "This is the greatest."
Right. Oh, that's good. That's really good stuff.
Don't want to know. I'm going to the car. I'm going to the car.
So
what you should do, Damien. You should just go. I'm going to the car.
I don't go running out of the building though.
You don't. No, you don't. You just scream.
I do. So obviously owning this location, you obviously know the building really well. You know that the spirits there really well. What's some of the stuff you've personally experienced in the time you've had this that's kind of left you scratching your head?
You know what? There's too many to name. I mean, but I will tell you, I think one of the most probably influential times that we had is we had a gentleman. His name was Art come out. He was the old maintenance man of the building, and he was walking through the building, and he was validating a lot of the things that, like he walked past the elevator. The elevator's got no electricity at all. It's been shut off long before I bought the building. He walks past, he goes, ding, the elevator dings, and he looks at the elevator and goes, oh, to turn the elevators back on? And we're like,
crap.
whoa, those things. He's like, so he like actually was able to like identify the ring of the, of the elevator. There was a couple of people with us that were actually recording some of the interactions that were going on. And it was kind of neat because afterwards he would actually go through the recording. He's been back a couple of times since the initial time that we met him. Which is a whole different story in itself we got to talk about because it was kind of funny. But he's been back a couple of times since then. And so on the second or third visit he came out, we had our voice recorders running, and he's walking through the hallways and blah, blah, blah. And so he plays back, you take him onto the porch, we play back the voice recorder, and he hears voices. And he's identifying voices of people that are on the voice recorder who worked at the hospital while he was there.
Oh, wow.
Looking at him going, holy. So when you get stuff like that, like I said, the paranormal, a lot of people look at us like we're, whoa, they're doing this, they're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're chasing. I don't know what we're, communicating with. But for somebody like that who's spent his whole life in the building, and to listen to a voice recorder and be like, oh yeah, that's Betty. Oh yeah, that's so-and-so. You just have to take a step back and be like, whoa, there really is something to what we're doing.
Right. Absolutely. Now
you got it, Damien.
Uh-huh.
Remember, you got a co-host, so I can't just sit here and look pretty, okay?
Yeah,
I have questions.
But you're looking for that 6'5", 280-pound
Well,
guy.
just over 5'10". That's all I want. Over 5'10". That's all I want.
Well, there goes half the population.
Right.
Well, I know. See, that's why I'm picky. Just not everybody. Anyway, now we're getting away from this because I'm being silly. By the way, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank everybody else for all the birthday wishes. I was pretty overwhelming. I mean, it was like,
isn't it?
I was up, it was ding, 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 ding on the Facebook. I'm like, whoa, this is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So, thank you for wishing me happy birthday. It was really nice for everybody.
It's really very cool when people do that. I think it's really lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I got a question for you. What brought you down from Alaska?
No, Chicago. I'm from
Well,
Chicago.
it says that you were from Alaska.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's just a goofy, what do you call it? I've been to
Oh,
Chicago
okay.
my whole life. Yeah.
I
Never
was
been.
going to say, why did you come down from Alaska where
No,
you've got some of the best haunts to
no.
come
I
down to
came from
Chicago?
Chicago. I've come from Chicago, which also has some of the best haunts, but I will tell you, winters in Chicago are awful.
Oh, yeah. I was born and raised in Iowa. So, yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the,
I
yeah,
know it.
the Facebook thing is that's an old Facebook, and I never went back and actually changed some of those things. So now that you brought that up, I'll have to put Chicago back down.
So let's see. Found out how you got the haunted places. Are you looking to purchase any more haunted places?
We are. I can't tell you what's in the works right now, but we are flying out to the Eastern Seaboard relatively soon here in the next week to work with people who actually own a location right now who are having a little bit of trouble. So hopefully
Oh,
we're going to sit
nice.
down and talk to them and see what we can do with them. But we're looking at a couple locations in Alabama. So yeah,
Nice.
we're different locations. Um, Really, I love the paranormal guys, and don't get me wrong, this is awesome. But with me, I don't investigate anymore. I don't do like the kind of things that our groups come in and do. Quite frankly, because I'm working on the buildings all the time, and my newfound love is the historic part of it. Is like you said, is kind of fixing a room when it needs to be fixed. But I will tell you that some of my best experiences ever are when I'm just working in the building. It's just when I'm going about my daily routine or fixing a water leak or a roof leak, and I've had spirits whisper in my ear, basically telling me I'm doing it wrong. I've had an instance where I was on a ladder and I was on the top rung because all guys listen to the instructions that say don't put your feet.
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
So I was on the top rung and I felt somebody grab the back of my calf and tell me to be careful.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of neat. I think that once, and a lot of buildings owners will tell you this, I think once we start diving deep into the building, we start cleaning it up and we start fixing it up, they're appreciative of what we're doing and they want their presence known. And I think that's what's really cool. The building owners, we have an experience. There probably isn't a day that doesn't go by where I'll walk into one of the two buildings and something happens. Whether or not, like, just I was at Old South Pittsburgh 3 weeks ago, I unlocked the front door, I walked in the door and here, and I'm looking around going, okay,
Wow.
one of my staff, beat me here. And so I walk in and realize I'm the only one in the building.
nice.
Wow.
There was an instance where Daniel and I were on the third floor and we were looking for the water main and we couldn't find it. And Daniel, as a joke, says, does anybody know where the water main is? And from the other end of the hallway, you hear a voice say, it's over here. And Daniel
Oh, wow.
kind of look at each other like, there's no effing way. And so we walk over to where we hear the voice and Daniel picks up one of the ceiling tiles and there's the water main. And what was really the topper of that was Daniel says, thank you. Or Daniel says, thank you. And you hear, you're welcome. And footsteps walk away. And
Wow.
Daniel both looked at each other like, just
Oh my
crazy.
God.
So
That's nuts.
it's kind of neat because, like I said, as a building owner, I think myself and our staff we get a lot more because the spirits are really comfortable with us. And I also think that a lot of the building owners out there who are trying to improve their locations, because when we buy these locations, they're in really bad shape in most cases. And when we're buying them and we're fixing them up, I think that the residents realize, hey, they're actually trying to improve where we're residing. And I think they feel really appreciative towards that. And I think that's one of the reasons why us building owners and our volunteers get such incredible, we just get such incredible experiences.
Right. That's awesome.
Now,
your turn. I'm all done.
One question that she's out.
now, your other location that you do own that I haven't been to yet, the Old Historic Harriman Hospital. Now, how did you come about getting that one?
So that was, once again, we just kind of fell into it. Leanne is one of my staff members. She does all of my Facebook. Her and Brooke, they pretty much manage the day-to-day operations of the building. She had come across a newspaper clipping that basically said that the old Harriman Hospital in downtown Harriman was about to be destroyed, and to the tune of about $12.1 million to taxpayers. If anybody's been to Harriman Hospital, it is it is in downtown Harriman. I mean, you drive in and there it is. And so, they wanted to knock it down. They wanted to turn it into a parking lot. And like I said, taxpayers would have been on the hook for about $12.1 million. So Leanne made a couple of phone calls with Brooke and said, hey, this is what we do. We're pretty experienced what we do. We can bring, a lot of people in from all over the nation. It's kind of an injection in tax dollars to the city, to the community, that kind of stuff. And it's going to save the taxpayers about $12.1 million to knock it down and make it a parking lot. They were really apprehensive at first. We talked to City Hall, and it being in the Bible Belt, they were kind of like, it was really funny though. I was at South Pittsburgh, and the police chief from South Pittsburgh calls me, and this is I love Tennessee is such a tight knit community. But I get a call from the police chief, and he says, "Hey, Ronnie," I said, "Yeah." He says, "Did you buy another hospital?" And I said, and this hasn't been let out by anybody. The only three that knew about it were myself and City Hall and Brooke and Leanne, and we kept it tight-lipped because we didn't want anybody, hearing rumors. We don't want to release anything until we had a positive result from the city.
Right.
So I was like, "Well, how did you hear?" He chuckles on the phone. He says, "A dummy. I'm the police chief." I'm like, "Oh, well, it's funny because the city of Harriman actually called the police chief to find out, how our business ethics were we paying taxes, to the state and the city, were we up to date on this, were we up to date on that, or were we keeping our promises to the city in terms of keeping, the hospital in a nice light downtown, because like I said before, it was pretty damaged, pretty terrible." And the police chief is like, "Oh my God, yeah, they're planting flowers, they're planting trees, they're bringing tax revenue in, they're doing all these good things." And he says, "And the greatest thing is they're your best neighbors." And I know the mayor says, "Well, why is that?" He says, "Because they start at 6 and they're done at 4 o'clock in the morning." He says, "It's the business that nobody knows that they're there."
Right.
And they were like, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well, they want quiet. They do all this stuff in the quiet. They don't want people, it's not a party atmosphere. It's not this." And so the city of Harriman's like, "Oh," because like I said, we're downtown in the middle of downtown Harriman. So we sat down again with the mayor and City Hall and eventually the industrial board, and we gave them our what do you call it, our business model, our business plan. And it took a couple of months for us to get it down, and we signed I don't know what you call it, kind of a lease with them. We did purchase the building, but the city of Harriman has the right to buy the building back from us if we didn't keep our promises. And so far, every promise we made, we've passed it by a million times. The town is really happy with us. The city's really happy with us. Like I said, we're generating a ton of revenue for a sleepy little town in Harriman. I don't think they realized how many of us there are out there, because the parking lot hasn't been utilized, and the building's been closed for 13 years. So it's been sitting there vacant. And all of a sudden, downtown's got new life to it. The parking lot's full on a Saturday night because people like yourself are coming down investigating. Most people don't know this, but we're shooting motion pictures in the building now. We just shot a movie called Stranded down there that should be out in theaters pretty soon. But it's really neat to see the Hollywood portion of it. We had Destiny Fear out. And then I'll let the cat out of the bag because I'm allowed to, but I can't give you the dates. If anybody knows who Rat is, the group Rat, they sang Round and Round.
Oh yeah, okay.
Come on, you're that age.
Yeah. Right. I got it.
Stephen Percy.
No, but I'm musically dysfunctional, so.
But Stephen Percy, one of the players from Megadeth, Pin, I think, what is his name, Pin Face or something like that. And then one of the girls from Vampire Diaries are all going to be out to shoot a movie at the end of this year.
Very cool.
Nice.
And like I said, one thing that a lot of people don't realize from town to town is that the revenue that we generate on the weekends that you guys do, hotels, food, lodging, gas, all that stuff, it's really good when you're talking about these little towns in the middle of Tennessee or Kentucky.
Anywhere.
Or anywhere. We bring a ton of money in.
That was the thing that I was pushing when I had historical rescue, was the amount of money that people can generate just from paranormal activities is incredible.
Right.
I mean, you look at one Paracon. We had
a little bakery that's actually kind of kitty corner to the hospital. And the week that the movie was there, she came over to the hospital after they were done filming. She says, "I want to tell you guys, thank you so much." And she was kind of in tears. And I'm like, "What's wrong?" She says, "I did a year's worth of sales in 1 week."
Nice.
That's perfect.
With
That's
the amount
beautiful.
of people who came through doing the movie. Because you have to remember, we had probably 100 to 140 people on set that were all
that's beautiful.
From everything from costume designers to everything, and they bought all local food, they bought local this, they bought local that. So that injection for these small little towns is, the difference between a new squad car and them driving a squad car.
Well, you look at Virginia City, Nevada. They completely embrace their paranormal. locations and
Right.
just go nuts on it. And the amount of revenue they have, they don't even have to do anything else. I mean, taxation's so low up there because they're generating funds
Right.
and they're
It's
able to do repairs.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And like I said, I mean, we're just scratching the surface in Harriman because the building's about 168,000 square feet, so it's a huge building.
Mhm.
So I mean, we're looking at other options down the road to utilize more of the building. You know, everything's going to be paranormal kind of intertwined, but there's so many things that we can do with the building. And it's really kind of a neat building because it was born in 1938, and then its last edition was put on in the 1980s, and they never changed anything from edition to edition. So when you're walking through the 30s and the 50s, you can see the old operating rooms. And
Nice.
Cool.
you can walk into the 90s operating room and you can see the different eras. And it gives me chills because it was just such a great find by Leanne. And we're just,
Okay.
you know, we're just so happy to be there. And
I gotta go.
and I will tell you, after owning Old South Pittsburgh, that building is extremely active. Harriman's like, hold my beer. Watch so it's kind of neat. I mean, we have investigators that are coming out of their, you know, night after night after night with videos, and literally videos of apparitions, pictures of apparitions.
They just released one.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
We had a lady who saw a full body apparition.
Full body.
In the hallway.
I thought it was somebody in the hallway. I saw the picture and scrolled back and I went, what?
Yes. We did too.
Oh my gosh.
It was amazing is we have a Ring camera right there. And we picked them up on the Ring camera as well as the girl picking them up on the video recorder.
Perfect.
We could actually go back.
Perfect.
Actually, yes. It was probably one of the most incredible things that I've seen in a long time. But you could see how he's actually lingering behind the group of people. And then when the group of people leave, he's standing there like, where'd y'all go? Like, what's going on? And then she kind of pans around and you can see him standing there again. And it's just, it was a great find. So,
wow.
But we've got a picture. So, on the old part of the hospital, there was a hotel that was there, and it burned down, just like most of everything in Harriman. But they said that there were some deaths there. There were some children deaths and other stuff. Well, one of our guests came in, took a picture of what we call the city-long block hallway, and it's basically the whole city. You can see a little boy in his knickers standing there in the doorway and kind of looking over to his left, which is what we kind of made a toy room. It was the maternity ward. We have a Raggedy Ann doll, you know, of course, because everybody needs Annabelle in their hospital. So we have a Raggedy Ann doll there and a couple of other things. And you can see him kind of looking over, and then kind of an outline of a girl is standing next to him. And
wow.
it was just an amazing catch. And this is something that is happening regularly. I mean, it's not like just one group. It is like group after group after group that are coming up with these incredible pictures that we can't debunk. And one of the things that's cool about a building owner, I think, is that we get the evidence sent to us. And then what we do is we go back, and I've got a team of about 40 people on my team who are all anxious because, you know, this is their home. They want to be like, oh, this is haunted, or they debunk it. And so we'll all kind of get together. We'll take the camera angles, we'll take the lighting, and kind of see if we can debunk it. And most of the time, we're scratching our head going, there's just unexplainable. Now, is it paranormal? I don't know. It's wild. But I will tell you, probably one of the coolest catches is we had a team that was out. They're very famous YouTubers that have been around for a while. They do this thing where they put a camera in a hallway and they leave it there for like a half hour. And then they go either out for lunch or whatever. So, and music playing, and then you can hear giggling and laughing. And they play it. And it's actually one of the child's toys that we have in the hospital. And it was almost like there were kids in the hospital playing with one of our toys.
Nice.
That's really cool.
In the hospital, because you can see the camera and you can see everything, and there's nobody there. And then once again, we've got security cameras in the building, so we can validate and verify that when they left, there was nobody in that hospital playing those toys, and those toys were playing. So it's really kind of neat. It's like I said, it's a really cool location. I get really excited talking about it because, you know, it's Old South Pittsburgh is always near and dear to my heart. It'll always be my home. But this building's like, we're gonna try and make you have this one our favorite hospital.
Wow.
Right.
And it's just
that sounds like a place I need to take my resident skeptic.
I think so.
I would. We had I can't think of his name. Richard Estep out. He did a whole Halloween party there. Christmas party. He was there during Christmas. Did a Christmas
Oh,
residents, and so he
Oh,
said it
very
was just
cool.
absolutely amazing what the experiences that they had in the building. So he said we're really anxious, and I like to be surprised, because like we can't tell you because it's going to be in the book. So kind of neat.
Nice.
nice.
Very nice.
I think
Yeah.
I've actually think I've seen that video you were talking about, and you mentioned the Destination Fear, which are now Project Fear guys and gals. I
Oh,
thought something.
did they go to Project Fear?
Yeah, they're Project Fear now, but they've been to both Old South and Old Harriman,
Okay.
and
That's correct.
I thought the cool thing they captured in the Old Harriman is when they had the REM pods set up, and it was like something was running down the hallway. You can hear the running, and all the them REM pods would light up when it would run past. I thought that was cool as hell. And so
Right.
you said like all of Harriman is pretty much haunted. I've investigated the location there, which I don't think they allow investigations anymore. It's practically right across the road is the old post office,
Mhm.
and that place was intense. Only
Mhm.
location I've ever been to where three of us walked out with scratches, and
Oh, wow.
it was a little odd to say the least. That you walk into a post office and come out with scratches on your neck. So it
Right.
and like I said, I think they sold the building, so I don't think they're allowing stuff like that anymore. But that place was pretty intense, and the hospital is on my bucket list. I know one of your volunteers I'm pretty good friends with, Chris Williams. He's been hyping it up and trying
When
to
are you
get
off, Damien?
Uh-huh.
When are you
right,
off next? Let's go.
Well,
right.
Come on, you and me, we're going.
what most people don't understand is Harriman is kind of a cursed town. We
Mhm.
love it. We go there all the time. But if you actually go back and you look at the history, it's either burned, been hit by a tornado, flooded, or and I'm not kidding you guys. I think, and I'm not gonna, Leanne's gonna get mad at me and Brooke's gonna get mad at me because they're really the historians. But I want to say the high school's burned down twice.
Oh
They've had
man.
Oh,
hotels that's
wow.
burnt. Yeah, that hotels have burned down on various occasions. They had a tornado rip through there. They had flooding in the 20s. I mean, there's been a ton of loss of life in Harriman.
Mm.
It's just a, I don't know, it's like it's cursed.
Right.
And it's really not, but it's a great. And then we're directly across from a little subdivision called Cornstalk Heights, where they put a haunted walk on. And I will tell you guys, it was the wildest thing. So we were actually at a birthday party a couple weeks ago, and one of the ladies taps me on the shoulder and she says, "You're the guy who owns the hospital." And I'm like, "Yeah." So she takes us over to her house that's haunted, and it was really wild. She takes us over there, and she's kind of explaining everything, blah blah blah. Like I said, this we could see the hospital from this house. And so she goes, we wake up in the morning and the books are out of place, and this is out of place, and that's out of place, and then the cabinet doors are open. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because usually we can explain it, old house, not level, cabinet,
Mhm.
Mhm.
So we're there, and so we decide that we're going to test her theory, and we pull out one of the books, and it's a Harriman book. And these two people that were involved were actually doing the Temperance Building. The Temperance Building had like a gala because they're trying to be the Temperance Building back. It's kind of the oldest building still there in Harriman. So we pull the Harriman book out, and we're walking through the house, and she's kind of telling us what's going on and all that other stuff. We come back downstairs. Remember, we're the only ones in the house. The book's pushed in back into the bookshelf.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm like, whoa. So then she shows us all these cabinet doors that usually open. And we, do our thing. We're walking around. We come back. All the cabinet doors are open.
Wow.
This was all in the little time frame that we were there. And she's like, oh, yeah, this happens on a regular occasion. So then she was like, they have their wedding picture that's on the wall. The spirit that lives in the house would actually take it off the wall and put it on her chair, which is like right in front of like a desk, which her back is to the picture. And I was like, no way. So I'm telling her, we're working through all this. I said, you need to put cameras in here, and you need to
Mm-hmm.
give me the access code so I can watch this stuff.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Yep.
as we're talking to people in Harriman, there's a lot of people who are experiencing all these things around their houses. And it's really funny because talking to a lot of the residents, they say that after we opened up the hospital is when Cornstalk Heights even got more active. It's kind
Oh,
of like there's
wow.
a communication thing going on, like, hey, somebody's here to recognize us. So
Mm-hmm.
let's tell our stories. Let's be more and more active.
Right.
And it's cool because a lot of the homeowners there are actually embracing it. Nobody's
Good.
afraid of it, nobody's running, nobody's. So this lady and gentleman that own this house are like, oh, I'm like, does it bother you? Like, no. So she actually woke up one night in the middle of the night with somebody rubbing her arm. And I said, you know what? I said, I love what I do for a living, but I'm done. When that happens, I'm out of there. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
no.
No.
She's like, I just rolled over and went
Nope.
back to sleep. I'm like, yeah, no. So it's really neat. The whole city is kind of involved in the paranormal now. And I think it's kind of neat. I think as we've been there and people like yourselves are coming in, we're opening up their experiences. And I think really opening up their eyes to, this isn't coincidental. This is somebody reaching out to you who's got a story to tell you, or they've got something to share with you, and open up your eyes and pay attention because there's something going on in your house or something going on in our area that these people want recognition for whatever happened to them in their previous life. And they're here, and they're not going anywhere until, we decipher what that message is.
So kind of tail ending that one, the spirits that are in either one of the hospitals, have you ever found a spirit that was there for a while and then you just can't contact them anymore?
So Harriman is so unique because it was kind of investigated prior to us owning it, because people break in, they do investigations. I talked to a couple of local groups and they're like, oh, this door was open, so we'd go in. So the investigations there weren't really like they are now. Now they're continual. And the thing is that every investigation we have people coming with names, with incidences, with, we had, and one of the most tear-jerking, I think, experiences we had at Harriman was we had a lady who come in and did a public investigation, and she was doing EVP work and other stuff, and she actually talked to a dead relative.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
EVP. And I was kind of taken back because I was like, yeah, okay. But there were things in the EVP that nobody would have known, like the nickname they called this girl. She's like, the only person who knows this is my family. And she was like, she's kind of in tears and kind of crying and all that other stuff. And I'm like, so my first thought was, oh no, are you okay with this? And she left with the biggest smile going, oh my God, I can't believe that my family member is happy. They reached out to me and all this other stuff. And I'm sitting back because, you can take that one of two ways. You can be like, are they going to be really sad? They're going to take it kind of like this person's trapped. They got nowhere to go, and on the sad part of it, or are they going to tell that the living is still doing okay and they're just kind of overseeing them? And that's how she took it. She's like, this was the coolest thing ever. And she's been back to every public investigation since then.
Awesome.
And every public investigation, she will have something come from that loved one, whether
cool.
That's awesome.
Here, or and so that gets out in the community. And now we have people who are like, oh yeah, my pappy died there. And I'm like, well,
it's not necessarily easy there.
Happen, but in this situation, it was just, and like I said, I think that was a pretty touching experience for myself, my staff, and the young lady who had that opportunity to reach out to a loved.
Oh, I bet it would be.
Everybody that's screaming demons and evil presence and all that. I am so happy that they're stepping away from that and embracing what positive things this could be, and how it could be helpful to all of us as humanity.
We made a mistake, and I'm going to tell you this right off the bat. We made a mistake. We brought in some extremely famous YouTubers who went down that path, and we caught flack about it. And it wasn't something that we did, because personally, I don't believe in demons and devils. I think, I'm going to say right out front, is that if I'm an asshole in life, I'm an asshole in death. I am not going to die and become any nicer. I'm probably going to become meaner because I don't want to be dead. I don't want to be dead. So I don't believe that what we're reaching out to is demons until they can prove me wrong. I'm going to stick with my theory. And the other thing too is that I've got 40 employees who work for me at my locations, as well as myself. I don't want to be involved in something like that if that's truly out there. But we've got to the point where we had to change the whole structure of our contracts, because we don't want any of that BS going on in our hospital. We don't want the demon conjuring going on, or, the talk of demons and all that stuff. We want to be on the other side, where we believe that our residents are in the hospital for a message. Whether, like you said, they're talking to loved ones or they're doing their routine. Because you have to remember, a hospital is a very specific place where people spend a lot of their lives, curing people. Right. And so a lot of people call that home. And a lot of people don't leave those locations because that's where they spent the majority of their life. And then, you have patients that come in the halls, but, and we're there to kind of help them, talk to them, and recognize them. And I think that's what's really cool about the paranormal. And like I said, when we're going down the right path, as you brought up, and staying away from the demons and devils and all that malevolent stuff, and we're actually focusing on the residents, and we're focusing on the positive side of the paranormal, I think we're getting a lot more results. And I think you're going to find, and I'm hoping that the paranormal kind of really embraces, like what you said, the lighter side of the paranormal instead of the, the demon, the dark, and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And hopefully get all the history right on them.
Absolutely.
Well, that's really important too. Is really important because we did have some instances where we had to shut down lives because they were talking about things that didn't need to be talked about, and they were bringing things into the community that I was like, we don't have any evidence of this ever happening, and I don't want you going on a live. We're in a small community where people, like I said, have called this hospital their home. They cared about it, and you're going to start spewing stuff out there that doesn't need to be said until we can validate it. Now, if we can validate it, what you came up with is true and factual, I'm going to be the first one to give you a phone call and do a podcast with you and say, congratulations, look what you found.
Nope.
But until that moment comes, we want to keep the history true.
Is that Sandler?
It is. He just jumped in. Mom must be home, so he's all excited now. So.
Oh yeah, Mom's home.
So you said you do a public investigation once a month at each location. So when's the next public investigations for people that might want to attend?
I think I've got to look, but I think the July 7th is sold out. That's at OSPH. The next one is July 21st, I believe, at O. It's basically, I think it's the first weekend of every month, or it's the first Saturday of every month at OSPH, and it's the third Saturday of every month at O, which we call Old Historic Harriman Hospital.
Right.
So we do them, and then I know September 1st and 2nd, we've got the Wraith Chasers back. We love them. They do such a great investigation.
Nice.
But they'll be at O on September 1st, and then on September 2nd, they'll be at OSPH. But I will tell you, I've got to know the boys really good, and they put on an awesome investigation.
Are you getting the original crew?
We just get Mike and Chris, unfortunately. I don't think that they're on the greatest of all terms, from my understanding. I try not to be part of that. That's their deal. But I know that we've tried to get them all together in the past, and it's just they're going separate directions and separate careers in their lives. So good for them. They're all doing very, very well. Chris and Mike are sticking around in the paranormal.
Yeah, I'll give a shout out for Duke. He makes a really, really great realtor. He and Nicole.
He does.
He and Nicole are realtors. I didn't even know who he was.
Oh, gotcha.
I just thought he was a guy I met at Octagon Hall one day, and he was a realtor. I'm like, well, I'll just call this guy. I had no idea who he was.
Extremely
He's
personable,
great.
extremely
They are
great.
Both lovely, lovely, lovely people.
Him and his wife will sell you the greatest house in the world. They really will.
Yep. They're fabulous. They make a great team too.
They're cute together. If you actually seen a picture of them together, they're really cute.
Yep.
They look like they.
There's Damien. He's frozen. I
Yep.
can see he's just frozen.
Yeah. Hello?
There he is.
So if somebody wants to book an investigation or attend one of your public events, where would somebody go do
Where do
that?
we go? Yeah.
You can go on our website. So we have two separate websites. One is osphprc.com, and that's for the South Pittsburgh Hospital.
And for those of us that are dyslexic, how can you do that again real slow?
Okay. osphprc@gmail.com. Basically stands for Old Historic. No, it stands for Old South Pittsburgh Hospital Paranormal Research Center. So it's just osphprc.com.
Nice.
And then if you want to book Harriman's really easy. It's just oldhistoricharrimanhospital.com.
Very nice.
We abbreviated one, and then the other one we had to come out really long with, primarily because it's a new building, and we kind of designated the initials, so we wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of. So when you do a Google search and you put Harriman Hospital in, it's going to come up for you. But it's oldhistoricharrimanhospital.com, and then there's tabs on there, so you can actually go to the prices and I think we lay it up.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be coming down. That's either I'm going to come down by myself or I'll find somebody to come down with me, but I'm coming down. If you've got that much activity, I want to see
It's
it.
pretty crazy. And
Right.
like, even if you come down alone, we'll hook you up with somebody at the public investigations. We're really surprised at how many people actually do come singular.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Hook them up with somebody. And one of the things we've been doing, it's kind of cool. We do what's called a free roam. So basically you can do whatever you want in the building. And we put our investigators kind of in hot spots that we know are active, and they'll do a little investigation. And you can hang out with them, do an investigation with them, or you can go to a different part of the building and be all alone. And I wouldn't recommend it, but be, all alone by yourself and do an investigation on your own. And we find that kind of is working out the best for us. We used to do like a structured event where we take everybody, from location to location. And our biggest complaint is that you can't kind of mix like the serious with the not serious.
Mhm.
And there's some people who really are involved in this, who really get into it. And then you got somebody who's over here who's, ate Taco Bell, and they're talking about how, whatever happened last weekend as they're trying to do EVPs. So we realized we don't put groups together. We just kind of let them free roam and go where they want to go in the hospital, and they can investigate with who they want, whatever. And this allows for every kind of, everything from novice to the expert paranormal investigator to come out and do what they want to do at that specific time. And it's neat because, like I said, JB Coates, if you know JB, she'll be there a lot of the time. And then our team will do, investigations in the active locations for about an hour. And then we'll leave that location and kind of go somewhere else, so that if a group wants to investigate without us being there, it's their opportunity to kind of step in that location, and do what they want to do. We find that was really, really successful. It seems to be working really well for us. And our guests seem to really love it because, like I said, they get to kind of do what they want to do at the time they want to do it.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I definitely want to get back to Old South, and I definitely want to hit up Harriman Hospital. That's kind of up there on my bucket list, the Harriman Hospital. So, and I'm kind of excited. You said you're looking at a couple of locations in Alabama, just right here south of us. So hopefully, you can land both of those, and that'll give us 2 more places we can hit up at some point.
We're trying real hard. Like I said, we're trying to save these historic locations, from number one, degradation, but number 2, just becoming a parking lot. I mean, it seems that a lot of places just want to make parking lots, and there's a lot of history in these old buildings, and there's, like I said, there's a lot of tax dollars that can be generated in a lot of these small towns by people like ourselves who are renting hotel rooms and, buying pizza and buying tickets at our events, because we're subject to sales tax, so we're paying all those taxes as well too. So I mean, it's a win-win situation for paranormal investigators, because we get to keep the history alive and you get to investigate paranormally. And it's a big win for the cities, because we're generating a lot of tax revenue that was unfounded until groups like us come into those locations. So you're right.
Exactly.
Win-win for everybody. And
Absolutely.
It's a win for our residents in the locations, because now they've got somebody to talk to.
Right. Absolutely.
The roofs are caving in, and this is going on, and they're probably twiddling their thumbs, and groups like us come in and like, oh, fresh meat, let's talk to these guys.
Right.
Well, it works for everybody.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
All right, well, Kelly, you have anything else for him?
I think I'm pretty much done.
All right.
Unless you want to talk about Vanderbilt University.
Oh, that's a sore subject in my household.
But you got to remove that from your profile too.
Yep.
All right, well, Ronnie, I really
No,
appreciate.
I got nothing more. Do you?
I think I'm good. I think I touched on everything I wanted to. So.
Very good. Well, thanks guys for having me on here.
All right, absolutely appreciate you coming
Thank
on,
you
Ronnie.
so much. We appreciate it.
So everybody, go check out Old Historic Harriman Hospital, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. Public investigations, private investigations, they do it all. Go support these guys and check these hospitals out. So
go support the town of Harriman.
They'll thank you in the long run, trust me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank everybody for joining us this week. Ronnie, thank you again. And Kelly, we'll catch you next week.
Thank you.